I found Larry Dawson. Update. They tried to scrub him from the internet, but I found his picture in the archives of the New York Post, which I'm using for fair use. I'm not profiting off of it. I'm just reading your article and sharing. Capitol gunman once yelled he was a prophet of God from the house balcony. Seems a little hubristic, but maybe. To do that, though, I know from another article he was standing on the balcony in the House of Representatives yelling that. And they didn't get him for insurrection. They didn't get him for illegal entry. They didn't get him for disturbing anything. And they didn't cite him for sedition. That I know of. We're fixing to find out. But I'm pretty sure I'm right. By Marisha Schultz, Jamie Schramm, and Donka Fears. March 28, 2016, 3:03 p.m. Updated. Larry Dawson, who allegedly drew a pellet gun, we did not know it was a pellet gun, nobody said it was a pellet gun, at the U.S. Capitol and pointed it at an officer, is wheeled into an ambulance after he was shot by the police. Now, if you took the orange thing out of the pellet gun and it looked like a real gun, that's a you moment, Mr. Dawson. Just saying. I was taught you didn't even wave pellet guns around. I think that's a crime to do that, too. To take the orange reflective stuff so that it's obvious that it's a gun, toy gun. I think that's a crime, too. No, it's a stupid move. A disturbed man who calls himself a prophet of God. He may honestly believe that. You don't know if he's disturbed. And I'm pretty sure that if somebody said that they were Christ right now, and he really was Christ, somebody might say he was disturbed. So be careful with the disturbed unless you have a diagnosis, please. Anyway, a disturbed man who calls himself the prophet of God, which to me is hubristic. That's my belief, not his. Triggered chaos in the U.S. Capitol on Monday when he pulled out a pellet gun at the security checkpoint and was shot by a cop. Tourists ran for their lives and the congressional staffers were told to shelter in place when shots rang out at the U.S. Capitol Visitor Center at 2:40 p.m., sparking fears of mass shooting. The only people shooting were the cops. Who would have been doing the mass shooting then? Think. Our tour advisor was like, holy something bad is happening. Ryan Stavina, 16, of Phoenix, Arizona, told the Post. Since he's 16, I'll cut you some slack. But if you were 16 cussing like that, I'd have gotten in trouble. There were a bunch of guards moving back and forth. They put all of us in a crypt room of the Capitol. It was scary. It probably was scary for a 16-year-old. One man was identified as Larry Russell Dawson, 66, of Antioch, Tennessee, who had been arrested in October for shouting from the balcony of the U.S. House of Representatives that he was the prophet of God. Again, still hubristic to me. Dawson, who was banned from the Capitol grounds, was at the visitor center's security checkpoint when his weapon set off a metal detector, a federal source said. Why are you there if you're banned? He drew what appeared to be a weapon, said the U.S. Capitol Police Chief Matthew Verdos. He pointed it at an officer. A cop then pointed and fired and struck Dawson, who was transported to MediStar Washington Hospital Center for surgery. Verdos. Why was he there? I thought you said you didn't know how many cops shot him. You just said a cop shot him. A would imply one police officer. The Nightly News tweeted out before they knew anything. Watch the video shows person loaded into an ambulance at the U.S. Capitol amid lockdown. That's when they thought it was a police officer. Up by the tweet it said police. Police swarmed the area and the Capitol complex was placed on lockdown for about an hour. Again, why didn't you do that? A female bystander between 35 and 45 was also treated at the hospital for minor injuries. Dawson was later charged with assault with a deadly weapon and assault on a cop. The cop shot him. Brandishing a gun at a cop? That's a pellet gun? Assault? Okay. Maybe because he was already banned and he wasn't supposed to be there. That's a possibility. For his initial intrusion last fall, Dawson had been charged with unlawful misconduct and assault on a police officer. D.C. court officials warned him in January that he had an open warrant, and he wrote back that he was a minister and a true prophet of God. Okay, but you still have a warrant. Minister and true prophet of God. You still have a warrant. I have been called, chosen, and sent unto you this day, the letter said, according to NBC. Therefore, I will not comply with the court order, nor will I surrender myself unto your office. No longer will I let myself be governed by flesh and blood, but only by the divine love of God. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 exclamation point. Cops believe Dawson, who is a former funeral director and school bus driver, acted alone. He had been hit with harassment charges for allegations professing his love to a teenage girl. The Tennessean reported. This man's 66 years old, and he just told you that he had been hit with allegations for professing his love to a teenage girl. That would be 18 or younger. In some states counted as 16 and younger. But let's be generous and go with the 18. That makes you 48 years older than her senior. 48 years her senior. Technically down here, you could be a grandfather to this child. And what does that have to do with you being where you were banned with a weapon? Nada. Wow. He was found not guilty by reason of insanity. This man is 48 years her senior. He is 66 years old, a funeral director and a school bus driver, professing his love to a teenager, and going to the White House, professing to be a prophet of God, professing to be a minister, and that's between him and God, not me, and then refusing to comply, and then being where he's not supposed to be, where he's banned, and then going and having a weapon there, even if it is a pellet gun, it still triggered the machines to say weapon. Did anybody think this man was sane? Usually by the time someone picks a weapon up, they aren't sane. That's a duh. Reached their limit, usually. Just usually. Apparently, Mr. Dawson wrote a letter to an underage girl telling her that God told him to have sex with her. Kevin Waters, spokesman for the State Department of Commerce, told the paper. So the board denied him in those instances. They denied him what? They denied Waters, or they denied Dawson? Congress was closed for Easter's recess, but the Capitol complex was teeming with tourists, including many children on spring break. The White House was briefly placed on lockdown because the police were shooting, and that man brought a pellet gun when he shouldn't have been there. But then again, he shouldn't have gotten in. This right here, this will tell you how entitled some people think they are. Not Benny. Lockdown at the White House for the Easter egg roll. Security has locked the gates. No one is being let in or out. And I bet if I read those tweets, they'd be, how unfair is this to our children? They had a man there with a pellet gun they didn't know wasn't a real weapon. They're discharging their guns, and you want your child looking for Easter eggs. Oh my goodness. Well, maybe when I've heard the first shot, I might think I can just go buy some eggs and we can dye them, honey. Thank you for watching.